Hello everyone and welcome back to Stellaris. I'm Lord Forward, this time with a guide on building and trying to focus and specialize your worlds. So how you build worlds is very key in this game. Basically, each planet should do one task and do it really well, and I'll explain why. It's very simple. You have buildings like this, food processing facilities. There's an equivalent one for, let's see, for mining. I have it here somewhere. Mineral purification, and there's one here, energy grid for technicians. Each of these give a bonus energy towards the productivity on that world. So that is to say, this one increases all income from these 4 agricultural districts, increases 15% on that productivity. Basically means this planet is going to produce tons of food for me. Ideally, you want to specialize this based off what the world has a lot of open districts for. So this one had nothing. I went for food just because I wanted food at that point. This one would not be good to go for food. This would be much better to go either for industry or for mining. Be aware that if you go for one of these, you do lose out on your city districts, so you should try and get as many building slots as well. That will help you focus them even more. So this one, for example, I put a mining district here, and this probably was not a good decision because this planet is not going to generate very many minerals. It probably would have actually been more beneficial to go for a generator district, double down to it, use the energy to buy minerals if it came to that. This one, on the other hand, once I clear these tile blockers, which I haven't done yet, this planet is going to have an insane amount of generator districts. And more importantly, it's going to have 15% on all of those. Now, I can also then set the designation for the planet, which is worth doing. To some degree, the game is pretty good at figuring out what designation you're going to be on. You're going to start basically every world except for your capital world is going to start as a colony, and then it will change as things move on. Urban worlds here are good for basically trading and tall basically the planet-wide cities at some point. That's going to be useful for. Mining is good for obviously getting more mines, food. Generator here is what we have on this world. It increases the output of all our technicians immensely and increases the speed at which we build generator districts. Now, I'll mention these two here because this is interesting. Industrial world versus forge world. Basically, this is what the developers stuck in so that you can focus planets easier using industrial districts. So if you do a forge world, you'll get reduced upkeep on your people who produce alloys. I can't say the word right now. Metallurgists. There we go. That's close. So it'll decrease their upkeep, which means you can use less resources to maintain them. And more importantly, the industrial districts will then shift one job from consumer goods to alloy production if possible. So when you build this, it has one artisan and one metallurgist job, and this will shift it towards alloy. Is the opposite. It will shift it towards artisans and consumer goods. Down here you've got refineries. This one I have never really dealt with. I assume it would be optimized. Basically, you make a world that does nothing but use minerals to produce your advanced resources, basically. Tech world. Basically, this decreases the researcher upkeep. Obviously, you can't do this in your capital world. Otherwise, that would be really good because your capital world should be focused towards tech, if possible. But if you build a second world, you want to put that on there. Fortress worlds are interesting. Basically, you want this on any of your worlds that's going to be attacked. You just want to go and build tons of fortresses, strongholds, then upgrade them to fortresses. They'll block all FDL. You max out the amount of army they have, and it will stall invasions, especially if they're on a lovely checkpoint like right here where there's only one easy way in. Rural worlds are kind of interesting. They're basically intermediate. They're to help you build faster. And bureaucratics, you want to definitely have a world that's basically devoted to bureaucracy. This will increase the admin capacity you get from them, decrease their costs, stuff like that. Technically, the game has set this one as a bureaucratic center, even though I only have 2 admin offices. But in the long run, this will probably be an admin-centered world as things continue. Now, if we look at my capital, now, to be fair, it is a ring world. So it has absolutely insane research production here. This will help in the long run. As you can see, this is not a perfectly optimized world. If I was to optimize it, I'd get rid of both the hydroponics farm, food processing facilities, and I would replace them with research districts. I needed the hollow theaters here for the amenities. This one I just stuck here because I wanted to stick it there. I'll probably replace it later on with... there's a building. I don't think I have it yet. Actually, I do. I'll replace it with this, a research institute, which boosts researcher output by 15%. Obviously, this is like the other ones, minerals, energy, food. This is the equivalent for research, so obviously you want to use this. I don't think, in fact, there is one for industrial districts, but I could be wrong. Instead, you've got these foundries, which, increase the jobs of it. Sadly, you can only build one on the planet, but you can get more jobs that way. So obviously, if you're going to optimize the world towards producing alloys or consumer goods, build this on the world. It'll help you optimize it a bit more. But yeah, I'd probably trash most of this stuff and replace it with research centers. I'm getting a lot of research just from having 4 research segments, and that's why I have an insane amount of research. I'm not even 100 years into the game yet. But the building the other research centers is helping, and then of course I can upgrade them further to be more productive. In terms of build order, so by and large, research is king. So you want to almost get rid of your starting buildings. I went over this in my starting moves guide. Basically, you want to turn all your starting buildings into research labs. As you can see, I already replaced one of them with actually I replaced 2 with research labs, I think, and that's very productive. In terms of a colony, so here is a new colony, and this is what I should have done. So I've obviously, you got the reassembled ship shelter, and I've got nothing else. It is the colony designation here, so stable, amenities, and happiness. The first thing I'm building is a gene clinic. So a gene clinic is right here. This is the upgraded form. It's basically 10% pop growth and amenities and basically happiness too. You basically want to start building that on all your colony worlds once you unlock it. 10% growth rate is really powerful. That's why one of the best techs is growth rate at the start of the game. And by building that on the world, you'll speed up the growth, you get more population, then you can do more stuff with it. For the second one, my rule of thumb is to build the civilian industries. This is just for the start of the game. As you can see, we're not even 100 years into it. This is my whole empire, even though I'm the strongest in the galaxy. This just helps with the fact that as you get to new worlds and you get more population, it's hard to maintain consumer good income since you're going to be using more of it. It's much easier to maintain alloys and food. The drain on it is not nearly as large. Plus, once you're building all the research, you're going to be using more consumer goods that way. This just helps a little bit. Basically makes the planet neutral for the start of the game. As you can see, I'm only losing 3 here, but I have 7 population. Just helps balance it a little bit more. And then I decided I'd build an agricultural district. I tend to like to have 1 on every planet. That way, if I lost my farming planet, I wouldn't starve immediately. It's not fully optimized. My advice would don't do it. It's just habit at this point. Because I don't have the population centered enough to do a full farm world as much as I would like yet. I will get there eventually. This is the closest I have to centralized, but it's still barely positive, which is why I can't get rid of the stuff in the capital yet. So remember to do the designations. The build order is interesting. This world right here, you get this world. You always get this world. If you get the mission for the Rubricator, the Rubricator is a mission. You don't want to complete the archaeological site. I will tell you that. If you do, it summons a giant dragon monster and basically means you can't build or move ships through the system until you kill it, and it's really strong. However, if you stop doing, if you don't do the archaeological site, you get this really nice tech world here. It's a relic world. Basically 100% habitability. Has no farming districts, so don't worry about optimizing that. But it has lots of it has bonuses towards society, engineering, physics, which means it's a good tech world. But it also has crystal mines, gas extractions, and moat harvesting traps, which means it's a great supply of unique resources here. So that's what I've been building here, and I will keep building there. At which point, once I built up all 6 of them, so it's going to take up a lot. The remaining will probably be filled with research to get the big research bonuses. In terms of districts, probably would be mining, just because finding good mining worlds is hard, and mining is very valuable. But this is a great world where you have to basically have another world support this with farming. And if you do, it's really powerful. So I just figured I'd note that. So the build order, usually anything that gives pop growth. In the case of machines, you want an assembly center basically instantly, otherwise you'll have no population. And you go from there. Obviously, this guide's not adapted towards like machines or hives necessarily. It's pretty simple. Other points I should mention, never build, let's see, do I have an empty build slot anywhere? I might have to do it here. Cancel gene killings. Don't ever build commercial zones. Commercial zones look like they give good amenities, but they don't. Instead, you want hollow theaters. Takes the same space, provides more amenities, lower upkeep. Instead, you have to move those jobs elsewhere. That's just the way it goes. You don't want to use commercial zones. You don't even really want to use like whatever your culture site is and stuff as well. Luxury resources, don't build them. They're not worth it. Precinct houses, if you're having issues with crime, try and get the Crime Lord Deal Edict. I mentioned this in the mid-max. Gives you extra stability, so more production. Then make sure you have a precinct house so that there is no crime. Strongholds, good if you're going to get invaded. They'll defend it. They'll prevent FTL movement through the system. The rest is self-explanatory. Don't build research silos if you can help it. Hydroponics, put this on your world you're maxing out your farming on. It's basically the only way to get a basic resource with the building. Like there's not an equivalent for science, or not an equivalent for energy, and not an equivalent for minerals really. So basically that is a very powerful building. Putting it on an optimized world will generate you an insane amount of food. It's very powerful. And obviously admin offices on your worlds that you're turning into bureaucratic centers. You basically need one. You max out all the building slots. You build lots of city districts. You really don't care about your resources on that world. Ideally, you get a small world, not a big one. So this would have actually been more ideal to focus all my districts into city. Max out as much of the cities as I can, bureaucracy, rather than using a world that actually has good district capacity. Obviously, the other thing I will mention, although you probably shouldn't do it, is one of the Ascension perks. You have Mastery of Nature. You can do this. It basically increases the number of districts a planet can build by 2. But it is kind of a waste of an Ascension perk to get it, so just be aware it's not very useful. But if you really want to, make those worlds 100% more productive, totally min-max, focus them, try taking it. It's kind of cool. 2 districts is a lot of jobs, especially on planets that are smaller and have low capacity. It can make a big difference in the long run. The other things I will mention is ring worlds are absolutely insane. They look small, and they kind of are, but every single one of their districts has tons of jobs. This provides 10 jobs. A normal district here provides 2. Basically allows you to build extraordinarily tall, have absolutely massive amounts of population in ring worlds. Downside is obviously you can't get any minerals from those worlds. They don't have minerals. There's nothing to mine. You can do food though, which is really nice. But be aware that building them costs, as you can see, unique resources. There's an arcane generator that handles the first level. That's powerful. The other thing that is also very powerful is if you can build habitats. They are extraordinarily strong as well. Now, habitats, basically you want to start building them almost anywhere. But the districts you can build in them change based off what worlds you put them around. There's a science district, but you can't build the science district in habitats unless you put it on top of a science world, planet, moon, whatever. So basically, if you put it here on this planet, you wouldn't have the ability to build science districts, but if you put it here, you would. I'm not going to go into that. That would almost be an entirely separate video, mega structures and stuff. And that's it. Other things to mention is your shipyards. There's a building called Deep Space Black Site that gives 5 stability to the planet. Again, that's like 3 or so % extra production. I did a deal with crime lords to get 10 production, then got rid of all the crime. So basically, this one has an insane amount of stability, which is giving 18% more research resource, which is mostly research, which is why we're this high, almost to 1.5k. It's pretty crazy. Building specialized is definitely way more productive than building generalized, so don't build generalized, basically. Just focus on optimizing your worlds. Once you get like 3 or 4 worlds, optimize them. You may have to destroy stuff, rebuild stuff, but that's the way it is. As you expand, just basically come up with a template in your head that if it's a mining world, you build this, 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 this. Food, you build this, 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 this. And just basically replicate all your worlds. They should almost all look the same. I will point out, be aware that worlds have modifiers. Like this one has poor quality minerals, which means minerals from mining districts are down as well as mining districts. So don't build mining districts on this world. I mean, unless it's got like 50 mining districts, which it won't. So try and find the worlds where it's the best to optimize them. So like this one, strong magnetic field. This is the one I'm turning into my energy world because it gives 5% more energy credits from jobs and has extra districts. So if you find, there are some amazing worlds out there that you want to try and find. They will give you huge benefits. Another thing I will point out, and this is probably going to be the last thing, your science ships can do assist research and give like 12% or so science, depends on their level to some degree. Put it on whatever world is your science world. Literally just build a science ship to get the 12% extra tech output. It's really worth it. As you can see, I've stacked some crazy modifiers on this world, but if we go into a job, I'll just do this quickly. If we go into a job, where is this? I think it's here. You can see all the stuff I'm getting out of this. So as you can see, we've got a massive amount of stacks, bonuses towards researching stuff. I've obviously researched the Empire tax, but research assistance is another 12%. It's almost equivalent to the stability bonus and the governor bonus. You double down and support that. It's really powerful. Make sure your governor on your science worlds has intellectual research as their thing. You can do other stuff like that. There's lots of little ways to optimize, but the big key thing is build basically one district on the planet and build the buildings that support it. So anyway, hopefully this helps you guys with optimizing your planets, focusing them, designating them the correct way over here with, select colony designation, building the correct buildings, optimizing it, and just in general becoming better at the game. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in another guide. Please do like, subscribe, all that if it helped you, and I will see you another time. Bye for now.